Clive Staples Lewis, who published under the name C.S. Lewis and whom friends call Jack, was born in Belfast, Northern Ireland, on November 29, 1898. He lived in a boyhood home called Little Lee, surrounded by his father, Albert, his mother, Flora, his brother, Warren, and shelves filled with classic literature and books of myth, fantasy, and adventure. With all that's been written about Lewis's childhood, two things stand out. First, he was a boy with great imagination. He and brother Warnie would play for hours in the attic at Little Lee with Lewis writing stories and drawing pictures. Second, he was deeply saddened and resentful at the loss of his mother. She died of abdominal cancer when Lewis was just 9 years old.
The great tragedy of his childhood was the loss of his mother when he was only a little boy, and that changed the whole pattern of his life. And his father's inability to cope with his own grief, again, had an enormous impact on Jack.
Throughout his adolescence, the creative, academic-minded Lewis rose through the ranks of prep school and found his way to Britain's acclaimed Oxford University. In the autobiographical book, Surprised by Joy, which Lewis wrote years later, he referred to himself at this age as an atheist.
When he was a child and his mother was dying of cancer, he prayed and asked God to heal her, and she, of course, died. And he believed at that time God either isn't there, or if he's there, he's just cruel. And so here was the problem of pain and the problem of evil coming into his life at an early age, and he saw God as either impotent to do anything about it or very cruel in the way he worked with things.
Lewis's faith in the existence of God was further challenged when he became a soldier during World War I.
What happens to a man when he goes into combat? What happens to him when his best friend is killed in combat? When men around him, men under his command, are killed?
Commissioned as a second lieutenant in the infantry, Lewis arrived on the front lines in France on his 19th birthday. He was wounded in action less than a year later and returned to Oxford.
World War I has a profound impact on him, and it makes him wrestle with why he lives and so many of his comrades died. Why? What's going on here? Is there a purpose? Is this just random?
Along with Tolkien, Lewis founded the Inklings, a small group of Oxford scholars who met weekly at the Eagle and the Child pub, or in Lewis's Magdalen College rooms. They drank, they socialized, and most important of all, they shared their philosophy and their work. The Inklings were essential to Lewis socially, and the members all contributed to each other critically. But for Lewis, some members of the group were also important to his transformation from an atheist to a theist to a Christian.
From about the age of 10 until he was about 33, he had been assuming that Christianity was just another myth, a beautiful lie.
What he's doing at this point is he's really looking for reasons not to believe in the Christian faith.
He was the most reluctant convert in the United Kingdom. He didn't really want to be a believer.